And welcome to the Confound Millennial, starring Steven Stirvin Michaels and featuring special guest Justin Linn. Hey Justin, what's up?
Hey, how's it going, Stirvin?
Good. Just been listening to that absolute freaking jam.
Thank you. I appreciate the kind words and that epic intro.
Thank you. I do my best,
Awesome.
One day I'm going to be the guy that's this summer more Michael Bay, more explosions, more cleavage. You know what I'm saying?
I love it. Yes. Do you remember that guy, the comedian Pablo Francisco? Did you ever hear of him?
I did not. No.
He used to do a skit where he was the movie guy, and it was like this really ridiculous thing, and everything was like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Tortilla Boy, and he would make up these ridiculous scenarios. But I think you're better. So
thank you.
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself, Justin. If you don't mind.
Yeah, I have been doing the music thing for like over 20 years. Started my first bands actually when I was like 12 and 13 years old, and grew up playing punk rock and ska music and all that stuff. And then I had fronted several bands in San Diego and did a couple Warped Tours back in the early 2000s with some screamo bands, and I've been through the gamut. But last couple of years I've been playing guitar for Save Ferris, the legendary ska punk band out of the OC here in California, and then been doing the solo thing for like the last 4 years and just putting out music when I damn feel like it. So and that's kind of the case here. This song is the newest one, and it's been a few months since I put anything out, so figured why not put out a summer banger.
And that's absolutely what it is, man, too. Like I was going for a drive with my cousin the other day, and I was like, hold on, I got the perfect song to just drive down the road, roll the windows down, and blast the music to.
Oh, no way. That's awesome, dude. Man. Thank you so much, brother.
Because like one thing is about the show is I end up getting a lot of metal bands on. So sure. This is definitely a kind of change for what we usually do, but it is a welcome change.
I appreciate it. Yeah. You know what? I'm kind of a not so secret metalhead myself, but there's so many bands now I can't keep track. So I have to have my fellow friends in metal bands steer me in the right direction with all the new stuff. But I get down with Slayer and Pantera and Maiden all day long. Some days that's all I listen to. So nice. I grew up wanting to learn how to play, Ride the Lightning just as much as Basket Case or something like that. So it was all it's all in that umbrella for me, and it all just kind of mushes around. And sometimes the metal stuff comes out in riffs and things, but you wouldn't know it because the songs are a little more pop oriented. But yeah, man. So thank you for having me. I appreciate the welcome change to the regular.
Yeah, it's ever since I been working with Mike, the PR guy with Sweet Beef, he's been sending me, I usually work with a group that does mostly metal and pop punk, and he's been sending me some, you were talking about your taste in music. I didn't really have much of a taste in music until this past year. It usually was just whatever my friends are listening to, I would listen to. Yeah. And now I've got these people coming on for the podcast. I found some bands I really love that I never would have heard of otherwise.
That's so awesome.
Just glad to be able to spread the word,
And you know what? We love that you do that. Yeah. Mike is, has been just an absolute, like, just like miracle to happen for me. You know, he's done a lot for me. And I'm glad, because I'm used to just doing all this stuff myself. And when he was interested in kind of market this new single and just get it out there more, I was like, yeah, why not? You know, I've always done the solo thing kind of not on the side. It's always been my passion, but it's been more of like an outlet, an art outlet for me. And if people dig it, cool. You know, Save Ferris is a whole other beast that has a legacy behind it, and that's more of me kind of playing my part within that. So I'm really stoked on how well received the single has been so far, and we're getting some good press, and Mike is a big part to do with that. So he's a super solid dude and a killer musician himself. So
yeah, he's a good dude, man. But so you said, when was the last time that you believe that you put out a single as just yourself?
I put a song out just around Halloween called Demons, which was apropos for the Halloween season. But that was the last song. And then it's just, you know, it was such a weird year last year that it was like, I would do some covers and things like that. But I put out the single Demons in October, and then I had a bit of a medical emergency where I basically had like a small stroke, like mini stroke on my right side of my face, and it affected only my hearing in my right ear. And so I lost like a good majority of the hearing in my right ear back in November. And it's kind of been a transition just to try to learn how to just do everything again with that. Being a musician, it's kind of like a nightmare. And then, but you know, this song was all done with mainly one good ear, and you know, a lot of love, and you just, it's like everything in life. I think 2020 kind of took something from everybody. So if that's the most that I got out of it, you know, then I guess I'll consider myself lucky. But yeah, so there was some hiccups and some adjustment period and trying to get back into the swing with the new year. And like, I don't know where you're at. Are you in California?
I am in the beautiful hick state of Kentucky.
Oh, Kentucky. Yes. I love Kentucky. It was, so here in California, things have just kind of opened back up for like, it's just all of a sudden everyone's just descended back out into, you know, full-fledged. All the businesses are open, full capacity. No one's wearing masks anymore, or at least most people aren't. And it's kind of, I mean, I don't know, out there it was probably a different scenario, but out here it was pretty locked down and pretty stringent on the rules with the, you know, 6 feet and masks and all that stuff. So we're just getting back in the swing of things, and it's, you know, it's summer months, so everyone's here. And I live at the coast in San Diego, so it's like they're all here now. And anyway, sorry, I'm getting off topic, but yes, it's been it's been a crazy last 6 months, and since I released Demons, it's just kind of sometimes slipped by. But this song took a while to complete for me, because I didn't really know exactly where it was going sonically, and then I just played around with it. I would work on it for like a week, and then I would take some time off, and then I'd come back to it. And then it just, you know, when it felt right, then I was like, okay, cool. I sent it to my buddy, and when we got it mixed and mastered, and then the whole cycle begins like you usually do. So hoping to do like either a full length or another EP soon.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
You know, you were mentioning the shutdowns and all. I just wanted to throw in, you know, how different it is state to state. Like Kentucky sounds like pretty much the same thing. I want to imagine it was probably a little more strict in California, but
yeah,
Georgia, where I'm originally from, they never even shut down, man.
Yeah, my sister-in-law is in just outside of Atlanta, and she owns a tattoo shop out there, and she was like, she was just baffled by the difference in the way that we were handling things compared to there. You know, I try not to get into all the political stuff and all, and the way that everything just got just muddled into this big giant mess of misinformation. But thank God we're here now, man. And like, let's get some fucking shows back and get back to life, you know, get touring happening again. And I mean, people need live music. I think it's really crucial to people's happiness.
Yeah, it's like I did an episode a couple weeks ago with a guy that me and my buddy used to go see in Atlanta anytime they went through. And it just, dude, I try not to be an emotional person, but I about could cry just thinking about the all the times going to the shows, talking to them after the show, and I'm like, damn, I need some live music, you know?
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, I just went out to a show up here in Orange County about a month ago, and that was the first time like walking in and no one's wearing masks and it's full capacity. It's a little club show, and it was awesome though. It was cool to see that again. And it took a few minutes for me to kind of readjust to that world again, because we just got conditioned, at least out here, to being without it for a good like year and a half. And so it's just, yeah, it was like I almost felt like getting a little emotional and shedding a tear, because it was like, finally, because in the middle of it, you didn't know when it was gonna, when it was gonna end. So I'm just so thankful that
Right.
is
and
back.
Until recently, you've seen at the beginning of the year people announcing tours for the end, but it still doesn't even really feel real that there's about to be tours of starting in a couple months.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how, once the machine starts really rolling again and all these big bands are out on tour, and all size bands, but it'll be interesting to see just like the people's enthusiasm, I guess, the audiences, and just like, I imagine people are probably, sorry, my car alarm going off in the neighborhood. It'll be great to see. Just, I think people will be just so happy to be with each other and in a communal space, enjoying live music and sharing that experience again. I hope so, at least.
Oh, it's definitely something that people are going to realize that took for granted.
Yeah. Maybe that, that at least it's always funny in Southern California, it's the weather's so nice and there's so much to do that I feel like over the years it's gotten a little harder to get people to come out for live music unless it's something really worthwhile or a big name. And I think hopefully a lot of the smaller local and smaller bands out there will get a chance to shine, because people will just be wanting to go see a show, whether it's at your local dive bar or at the bigger arena where the hockey team plays, whatever. It's
it's like the depressing thing that I realized the other day is we're dealing with a lot of those local venues have had to shut down.
Yeah.
So really now it's like where the local band's going to play. And I hope that they, still have enough places to where, the music scene doesn't completely die out in smaller places, but
yeah, I know. It's just absolutely devastating. And the fact that, I wish that there were more resources. I know that there was a couple companies like Nido or Nito, I think it's Nido, that was pooling resources to be able to give back to venues and sustain them through the pandemic. But a lot of people closed down. A lot of great all ages and 21 up venues closed, and it's devastating. It's really sad, because you can't, talent can't get out there if there's nowhere to play. And in San Diego, we've had quite a few closures. Everything's from just rad small businesses to some awesome local concert venues as well. Fortunately, places here that are kind of iconic, like the Casbah and Soda Bar, and God, there's the Belly Up. These places are gonna they were able to sustain. I think a lot of it through merch sales. I tried to buy up whatever merch I could do to support and keep them in line as well. And I think I think everybody coming together. I think that's one rad thing, at least in San Diego, is that there's as many people are here and as much of a transplant city we are now, that there's a lot of a community sense of things, and people really rally together when a venue or a family or a business is struggling, and you saw a lot of that happening early on, which was really cool.
It's like one thing that I really tried hard to do last year and the beginning of this year is whenever I had a band on, I was like, here's your moment to shine. Where's your merch? How do I support you? How do the fans keep you up and running and making music?
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah. I mean, we're all in it together, we're all trying to just create art and express ourselves. And if you dig it, cool. Let's keep going.
But, we keep talking about, the sad stuff that happened last year, but I don't know a single person that didn't come out stronger than they've ever been, better than then. And it gave so many artists a time to really hone their craft as well.
Yes. Yeah. I think we'll probably just start to see some amazing albums that were written during quarantine come out. There'll probably be some just amazing music. I mean, there's already been so much that's come out that has really been cool, but yeah, I totally agree with you. I think people, for the most part, have I know for myself, it's made me appreciate what I have, and that much more grateful for my family, for the fact that I'm still able to play music, with all the sadness and tragedy and stuff too. There was definitely an upside in that you saw people really coming together and just trying to get through it. And now, we're hopefully on the other side of this thing, and we're ready to, I just hope people are a little more patient and compassionate with one another, and understand that maybe there could be some good changes that came out of that experience, just like we did with 9/11 or any of the crazy shit in history. It's like you're forever changed by it. Doesn't mean that it's maybe there's a traumatized element to it, but at the end of the day, you learn something from it.
Right. And it's I'm sure my fans are tired of me saying this, but last year, I ended up homeless for a while and in probably the worst mental state that I'd been. And people, my friends and even people that I've met through the podcast, they really banded together and helped me come out on top better than I've ever been this year. And I'm really thankful for all those people.
I'm happy to hear that, brother. Yeah, that's huge, man. I'm glad you made it out of it, because I think it's so crucial for people to, I've been pretty open about that song Demons that I was referencing, that I put out back in October, was all about my own struggles with mental health. And we actually partnered up with this charity, this nonprofit Charity Bomb, and donated half of the proceeds to that, which is all about erasing, the stigma and fighting depression and mental illness. And people have to be able to talk about these things. It's the only way we can get better, and the only way that we can have resources for, everyone's going to go through a hard time in their life. We need each other. We need friends. We need our community to help us out when we're going through those things, or else, it's dog eat dog, and nobody's happy that way. And yeah, I'm really thankful for wonderful organizations like that. And there's a great one out here that I help out from time to time, good friends that do this nonprofit called the Sidewalk Project. And they're all about helping out resources for the houseless community without trying to rehabilitate them. It's like, okay, they do, it's controversial, but they do a needle exchange program just because they don't want people getting hepatitis, and you know, they're trying to keep people safe. They're not trying to rehabilitate them, because some people that are on the streets don't want to be rehabilitated, or they're not necessarily unhappy being there. They need, you know, food and shelter, or food and clothing, and you know, resources for things. And I think that
being somebody that went through a really bad alcoholic stage, you've got to be ready to make that change.
Sure.
You got to be ready. You got to hit a wall or have an awakening, or you got to be ready. And, you know, even though, like you said, it's controversial, I think it's great that they're trying to keep people alive until they do that.
Yeah.
You know, until they have that change part. Like, you can't, there's so many people that demonize the addicts out there, and they're just people that started off with one bad day and it just got worse.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
100%. It's very easy to develop a habit, you know, and an unhealthy habit, you know, and I've had my own demons, and I'm still battling inner demons with every day. I look at every day like you gotta get up, and there's a reason you're waking up breathing, right? So you gotta figure out what gets you through the day, what keeps you strong. Some days it's a bigger struggle mentally than it is other days, and I guess that's life. I don't know. I haven't met anyone yet that's able to tell me that it, you know, it's rainbows and roses every single day of their life. So if you if you meet that person, I'd love to meet them. But, you know, I think we have to address these things and talk about, listen, it's okay. And, you know, it's okay to slip up. You just got to get back on the wagon, and you got to get back up, and with anything, you know. And I think that rather than going to the judgmental place, I think it's really important that people employ a little bit more like empathy, and just look into themselves and realize that, you know what, we're none of, you know, we might look differently, we might speak differently, et cetera, et cetera. We come from different backgrounds, but, you know, we are all alike in some way, more than you realize.
Definitely. But yeah, I mean, but talking about mental health and stuff, I take it that well, obviously, because you just said so with your last single, that music is a bit of an outlet to cope with those kind of things, right?
Absolutely. 100%. I think I figured that out when I was 12, 13 years old, and I was writing my first songs. I think it was just, I didn't consciously think it, but I think it just was like, okay, this is cheap therapy. So it was a way for me to get an outlet and articulate how I felt without necessarily knowing how to express that in a conversation, but I knew how to write it down. And maybe I didn't even know what I was writing about. I still don't know a lot of times until a few months go by and I put out a song or an album or something, and I look back and I go, oh, that's what I was like, that's what was going through my head, or maybe that's what I was singing about in that line, because it's definitely like cathartic. And I think that artists, whether you're painting a picture or whether you're, you know, having a deep conversation with someone or whatever, there's a element of expression, and it's therapeutic in a way to just be able to release that. I mean, I've gone to therapy too, and I'm not discounting anyone go to see a therapist, you know, but I think it's really important to have some kind of outlet, you know, like a healthy outlet. For me, that's always been music. For somebody else, it might be golfing, or I don't know. There's a million different things, but you got to find something that kind of allows you to have that outlet, I guess.
Right. And being somebody that has gone to therapy twice a week, a couple of times for a couple of months, like, that's still not enough. You got to have something on the daily.
Yeah.
You know, And that's where this podcast has come through with me, is just having a hobby, something that I really enjoy doing, and getting to meet awesome people.
Yeah.
If I had any musical talent at all, I'd be right there with you, but I don't. So sadly,
I don't know. You got a pretty cool accent, so maybe we could fit in like a spoken word part or something.
Definitely. If you ever need it, hit me up, man.
All right, we'll do.
We'll be the next OG 21 Pilots or whatever they used to do.
Right.
So I was thinking about something when I was listening to The Wanderer and looking at the emails back and forth. You ever thought about going by the stage name, The Wanderer? It just, Justin Linn, The Wanderer, has a nice ring to it.
I didn't think about it until now.
Musician that is involved in all these different genres, different bands and stuff. It has a nice ring to it. Something to think on.
All right, I like it. You heard it here first, folks. Stirvin, he coined it. Justin Linn, The Wanderer, from now on. Let's hear it. I'm going to put this. It's going to just say Justin Linn, The Wanderer, from now on. All right? That's it.
Nice.
I feel like, though, in order to do that, like, I don't know, I need to come out in like a cape or some kind of mystique, or have, like a cloud of smoke billowing around me, or we've got to brainstorm. Your people call my people. We'll be in touch.
All right, definitely. We'll have that happen. Yo, Mike. But so what's the next step for Justin Linn?
Right now, I got some solo acoustic shows coming up here in San Diego, a couple local ones, and then Save Ferris is co-headlining this huge festival in Hermosa Beach in LA County up here called Beach Life in September. And the day we're playing is the first Friday, so it's a 3-day weekend festival. And the day we play is the same day. We're playing on the same stage with Jane's Addiction, which is pretty huge. Definitely a band I grew up hearing a lot of and was influenced by. And then there's a ton of people on that weekend. There's like Men at Work and Sugar Ray and God, my mind's totally going blank. There's it's a stacked lineup. Ben Harper. It's a real a lot of cross genres, and I think that's a kind of cool thing about when you get to play those festival shows, is there's a lot of mishmash of different styles of music. And then after that, I'm going to continue working on my music and hopefully get another EP or full length out. And hopefully there'll be some touring coming after that. Just kind of waiting to hear what management and the booking side of things come up with Save Ferris. And for myself, I'd love to get out on the road soon and do some shows of my own material out there, because it's been a long time. So
you ought to come through Kentucky, because absolutely no one else does.
Really?
That's the thing, is you got to go to Ohio to catch a show.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember going. I don't know if we went. Yeah, no, we went through Kentucky with Warped Tour in like 2005, and that was probably the last time that I've been through Kentucky. But
I missed Warped Tour.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was a really good time.
What was it like playing it? I've been there, on the one side or on the fan side of it, but what was it like being on the other side?
It was, from what I could remember of it, it was totally like just a traveling circus, but a really fun one. I think Kevin Lyman is just a total genius in curating that whole festival, and he held it up obviously for a really long time, and there's a huge legacy behind it, and that's really to credit to him and to his amazing staff. But for him to give a lot of young bands and bands that people wouldn't necessarily heard of otherwise a chance was really cool. I don't know if that really anything exists like that anymore. I think with all these SoundCloud kids doing pop punk now, that they ought to just bring it back.
Mhm.
But so it seems to be like the hot thing again. But for me, it was amazing. The year that I was playing with a band called Bleed the Dream. And then I had a pop punk band in San Diego that I was fronting at the time, that we did some shows in 2004 and 05 on the Warp, like little scattered shows. But when I did the full tour in 05, it was really fun. There was you had like Avenged Sevenfold on there and Fall Out Boy and My Chemical Romance, and these guys were just taking off to like this huge, massive level at that time. And we got a few times we got to play like right before them on. They would let us play on the main stage. Like every now and then it'd be like, okay, we're in Dallas today. You guys want to play the main stage right before My Chem? And those were like, that was crazy because there was literally like, 30,000 people out there just waiting for them. They were just blowing up at that point. So we got to kind of, chew off a little bit of that. But yeah, that's super fun, man. Like the cool thing about the Warped Tour is that everybody, there's always a barbecue, after the day is done. And that's when all the bands kind of get together and hang out, and a lot of shenanigans and probably a lot of regrets for some people. But I had the best time ever. And I was like 21 years old. So those experiences will be with me forever. And I don't think I could party like that anymore, but those were really fun times. And it was a time and place. And I miss just going to the Warped Tour though too. It was a lot of fun to just be able to go from an audience perspective and see some of your favorite bands. I have to admit I'm a little older now, so as the years started to go on, I was kind of looking at the lineup and it was kind of like, who is that? But okay, can I find any bands I know? But there was always like, there would always be like a little handful of bands that you could say, oh, okay, yeah, I remember them, or I know, I love that band, and would make it. Yeah, or you might see a band that really surprised you. I remember I saw this band, Plague Vendor, play back in like 2011, something like that, and they just blew my mind. And then they've gone on, they're on Epitaph now, and they're doing really well. But they were incredible. I would have never known had I not gone to Warped Tour that day. I wasn't gonna go, and then a friend was like, "Hey, you want to come?" and got me in, and then my mind was blown. So if that one band like just blew your mind, I'd say it's a successful day.
Like I remember one of the last years that they had it, I went and I was standing right in the middle of two stages, and I hadn't heard of either of these bands before, but now obviously I have. We had I Prevail on one side and Beartooth to the next.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't realize how big of a deal that was until like a year later. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. I remember seeing Killswitch do the tour. I mean, I was already a fan of Killswitch Engage, but when I remember they did the tour for a little bit in like 07, I want to say, or 08, and it was like, that was pretty brutal to see them play Warped Tour. It was like, I'm sure a lot of kids' minds were just, or faces were melted that hadn't heard them before. And it was cool. I think that was the coolest thing too, is like Kevin Lyman was really good about knowing what the generations were craving and what they were into, because the tour started out with like the Sublimes and the more punk and 90s ska punk stuff, and then it transitioned to like the early 2000s. You got a lot of the screamo rock stuff, and then it kind of like, then you saw metal crossing over in there, and then some of the old school punk bands, and the emo stuff became like Legacy Acts. And so it was kind of it was just like one big crossbreeding thing eventually. And I think that's healthy for music. We're seeing that now in pop culture, obviously, where it's harder to put a genre stamp on anything because there's elements of this and that, and it's all over the place.
I hope you weren't able to hear those dogs losing their shit in the background.
I think I know. I don't hear them now. No.
Good. All right. My cousin's dogs are just losing it right now.
Oh man.
But Thank goodness for good mics, right?
Yes. Well, on your end.
I remember one year near the end, and this is the last thing I'll say about Warped Tour, just reliving memories right now. Sorry, but I went and I saw a band that an ex of mine had turned me on to, As It Is. That's kind of modern day pop punk, very they got a certain sound to them that is completely unlike the next band that I went and saw that day, Gwar.
Oh, I love Gwar. Yes.
And I told my friends, I was like, hey, I'm going to go see Gwar, see you in a little bit. And they're like, okay, have fun. I come back and they're like, whose blood is that? I'm like, it's Gwar.
It's Gwar. Actually, I think seeing Gwar was like a rite of passage. And you got to wear the white t-shirt and you got to run up to the front and just get splattered. I remember going and seeing them play back in 2004 with this huge outdoor festival it was called Sounds of the Underground here in San Diego. And it was a big arena parking lot. And Gwar played in the middle of the afternoon. I mean, just like Warped Tour, I guess. And it's like, it was just the fucking raddest show ever. And I totally ran up and I just got, I looked like Braveheart coming out of that thing. It was awesome. And I was like, yes, I got splattered. They were doing all sorts of crazy shit. I remember they had a Bill Clinton blow up doll and a Monica Lewinsky doll with like a dildo on her, and they were simulating some things, and it was just great. And then to see a band like Behemoth, are you aware of the band Behemoth? Like a Swedish black metal band. To see them play in the middle of the day with like, the corpse paint and everything, it just seemed wrong. It's like 75 degrees out and sunny. It just didn't fit, but they were awesome though.
So, we're running short on time. Is there anything else that you wanted to say to the fans? Anything specific you wanted to talk about?
I'm just so grateful for everybody that's checked out the new single, The Wanderer, aka my new stage name. And I'm just super happy to be able to still do what I love, and that anybody digs it at all. And thank you for listening and watching.
And thank you for putting out this great music, man. Keep on keeping on, and good luck with all the different projects you got going on, man. You're busy,
Thank you, brother. Yeah, kind of keeps me sane. So
definitely, I understand that. Well, as always, stay saucy, everybody. This has been the Confound Millennial, starring Steven Stirvin Michaels and featuring special guest Justin Linn, the Wanderer. To survive.